All right, good morning, everybody. This is Tim, and I'm one of the solutions architects on the pre-sales team here at Idera. I specialize in the Studio line of products, and I'll be your host for the webinar today. What are we going to do today? What we're talking about is the Studio Purview integration. Now, the Purview integration is very, very interesting, as those in the audience that probably have been working with Purview. Microsoft itself is changing kind of its focus and its direction on how it's looking at Purview. It used to be Azure Purview. It's become Microsoft Purview. In fact, this very next month, at September, they're doing their big release, and so a lot of folks are wondering exactly what does that mean. How are things going to look in the new Purview, and is Studio still going to work with it? The answer to that last question is yes. Our development teams are already in sync with what the Microsoft changes are going to be for Purview, and it'll be fairly seamless for us with our 20.3 release. The new Microsoft Purview is designed to be a data catalog and governance environment for the consumption side assets. So it's all about that gold layer or presentation layer. What do those data products look like? What are those sections of your data warehouse? What are those actual presentation services? It's almost, you can start thinking of Microsoft Purview as being that storefront for data products. It's all about their data mesh product story, and it's really kind of nice for Studio because we fit very, very neatly in there, because Studio then becomes the supply side data catalog. So it's been requested of us to go ahead and create a data product. So let's jump in there, and waiting for Purview to get back to us. All right. All right. So in our data catalog, under data management, under data products, as a team here, we're saying, hey, we got a request for these data products, and I've got a request to go ahead and create this company department list data product. See, and never mind that I was the actual requester. Let's pretend that it was somebody else. Obviously, I've set this up for the webinar today, but hey, what is this company department list data product that's being requested here? So I can see the description. I want to list all the departments with employees. Hey, it doesn't sound too complicated. You can see the use case here, understand what departments there are, and the contact details for the managers and employees. Hey, I see that whoever created this, maybe it was a business analyst, for example, or a BI developer. Those kinds of folks might be creating these data product requests, and they've attached through the plus add data assets to the product. I'm really dealing with the department entity, the employee entity, assets that I already know about over here on Purview side, and I've even see that they've attached a glossary term. So that's a lot of good information for us here. Department, employee entities, got the employee term. So what's our next step? So we could take this and go right into Team Server through the web portal here, and you'll see me log in. We can log in through a variety of SSOs. I'm going to log in as admin, so make sure we see everything we need here today. And what I'm going to do is there's a lot of ways to slice and dice that. We know we need employee in department. We also know there was a term for employee there. So let's take a look at that employee term. I'm going to look that up here and see there's that employee term in the human resources glossary. So we're in Team Server in the web portal. This is interfacing with Purview, and actually in Calibra too, as my environment is indicating. And I'm looking all about that term that business analyst has attached to that data product request. So just getting a sense for what's on the Studio side. There's that term. It's linked across here. So on the Studio side, what does that term really mean to us? Okay, how's it related to the rest of its ontology? I can see see that, yeah, that is the employee. There's the department. Yeah, that's kind of the direction I'm going. That looks good. Maybe I can look at its attributes. Employee, I got department manager, employee number. These are all terms. Yep, I think I'm on the right track here. By the way, you can see that term in its entire ontology within right here in Team Server. Can go up to the top level and look at its entire kind of taxonomy if you want to break it down that way, and the ontologies are included there. Right, but we're on that employee. So going back to that term here, and by the way, see the linkage, I can always go back and forth between the products. And I could see if there's related objects to that employee term. So now we're looking at the ER Studio data dictionary, right? So the models and objects that have been associated with that term. Term relationships, we call those. And I could see that we do have this employee term in our corporate logical data model here. No, I could jump straight to some other model here, but this is how we're going to do this, create this data product. So on our logical model, we can see we do have employee. So let's take a look at that corporate logical data model. Looks like it's going to have the elements that we need. So I'm going to the ER tools here. I'm going to go under projects. I'm going to go under my corporate and enterprise models here. There's that corporate logical data model, or ELDM, enterprise logical data model, a lot of times it's called. And I can look at the main model there. And it's a little bit, I could look at a different view on this. I could probably check this out and get this restructured in my environment here. But I could see from here that we do have employee, we do have a department data out here, or department metadata. So this is absolutely where I want to start. So let's go into Data Architect now. I got a good view of this, know the entities I need. I know that it's part of my ELDM. Let's go into Data Architect. Data Architect 20.3 here. You can see that we got the new version out. I talked about what the new features are. Again, this overview or welcome page has great links to our resource centers. So if you're coming to speed or just coming back to us after a while, great links to just the information that we might have and do have out in our documentation on erstudio.com. All right, so what's our next step here? We found our entities, we found our data product, and we found what they're looking for in the request in Team Server, so we know our ELDM is a good basis for that. So here's where I start. I just do a file new here and get a new data model here, model 1, and so I want to bring in and use the definition and description documentation of those elements that we have in our enterprise logical data model. So how do I do that in Data Architect? Well, starting with an empty model, I'm going to use our compare and merge utility. So I'm going to use compare and merge, jump in to the compare and merge wizard here, and I'm going to compare this empty model that we're just starting against our repository-based model that's, got to log in. Our repository-based model, which is our corporate logical data model that you saw me look at in Team Server. And that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and say check out here. Okay. I did select the diagram. All right, just tell me you have a local copy here. We're all good. And I'm going to open that, and I'm going to go against that main model and say next here and next. And this is what I'm comparing against what I wanted to show you. So obviously our ELDM has a lot of different entities in it, a lot of different objects. We're comparing that ELDM against an empty model. That's why this site is empty. And we happen to know that we want to compare against what we want to bring in is department and employee there. So that's how you would do that. Go ahead, hit next here. And I'm going to set my resolutions into, hey, I want to go ahead and merge that into my current. I could do all resolutions here, but I don't really want the super types. So I just want those two entities to bring in. Here's a tip for you, right? So key practice, key tip is when I create this data product, if I want to actually see the linkage of it, the fact that the system would know that I've based this product, these entities in this new data product from the ELDM, I want to hit the save matches here. And the save match dialog comes up, take the defaults there, and that check mark is made. That means when I create and save this data product into the repository, I'll be able to see the where used tab and see that I've used that use the ELDM as a basis for these objects. So I'm going to go ahead and hit finish here, and it's going to go ahead and say yes. So now I have the model. I'm going to go ahead and diagram, go ahead and say fit model, and now it comes as no surprise. We got our department. I always like to turn off these verb phrases cardinality at the beginning, just so we see what we got. And we have department, and we have the world's easiest logical model here, but that's what the request of the data product was. Obviously, as you get requests and work with Purview through as it being your storefront on more complicated data products, this entire process becomes iterative. Creating the logical model, fleshing it out, that kind of thing, publishing it back in, and then having it sent over to maybe be in Team Server, and they can use Team Server and look at the web portal and look at the logical model there, or you could even publish it all the way back over to Purview. But however that's going to work at your site, the idea is you're going to build this logical model, you're going to build this out and kind of get a sense that yes, this is what we're looking at, and go ahead and save this. So how you would save that is you go to the repository tab and add the diagram. And if we do that, what'll happen in Team Server is you'll get the data product. And I actually have already done this to save us a little bit of time for us today. And in our data products, we do have our HR data products employee departments under logical, and there's the model. So this is a little bit different view because I did it before and moved these relations around. But you can see there's our employee and our department. That model is there for us. If we go back to that model, we can send that link over to the requester that was in that started the analyst that started it in Purview, or we could publish it over to Purview. The idea is in Team Server, in the web portal here, you can look at submodels, the entities, read all about it. Since I did base that against our ELDM, it's going to carry through for department and employee, all those great and annotations and documentation you have on those entities are brought forward for you. Any relationships, additional notes, anything else you might have. So the idea there is that would go, and so then you have that next step with that business analyst or that requester. Okay, so how do you want to manifest this? Remember, if I show the PowerPoint again, if I show the PowerPoint, we've created the logical model now. So now, Mr. Requester, Ms. Requester, how do you want to realize this? So we have the logical model, but what physical type of asset do you need for this data product? Is it just a view for certain tables that are in the warehouse? Well, that'd be easy. I could create that. I could use the data warehouse schema to start my original compare and merge and create a submodel with that view in it. Or maybe it's a JSON file for just employee and department data. So we're going to go with that route. So back into the product with that guidance, I'm going back in the data architect, back in our model here. So again, I'm going to, well, not again, what I'm going to do now is generate the physical model. And I'm going to generate the physical model from our data product we're working on. And we'll call this, the JSON. And you're going to use JSON instance here. I'm going to hit next. And I'm going to take all the standards. The tables are already there. I do have some options here. I could do naming standards. and just work at it. Actually, one thing I want to do, I've kind of messed this up a little bit already, getting ahead of myself. So before I actually generate that physical model, you know what I'm going to do is with JSON modeling, there's a little extra step you have to do, because obviously what we have is a JSON implementation in a relational modeling tool. And what our development teams have come up with is a real kind of slick way to work with the containment within your resulting JSON file or schema. How you do that in your logical model is you click on the relationships, and under the properties tab, you see there's containing. So there's a couple things here I want to do. I want to say this is containing, and the parent is the container, the department is. And on my role name here, I think we're okay with that one. And on the role name here, I want to do the same thing, but I want to call this this role name. Let's call this instead of member, let's call this employee. So this is how I want that to look in my actually probably all in caps, employee. If I can spell, I'd be dangerous. Employee. That looks right to me. All right. And the other idea is the properties containing and parent is container. So now we have those relations set up. So now if I go ahead and generate my physical model in JSON, like I started to do here a little bit ago, but now I have my containment done. If I take my standard options, go through, and I think I could just say finish now. And now I have my JSON physical model. And there you have, you can see it all rolled up. And of course I can generate, what we call is generate the database here. I can generate that. I will notice that we do have this new generate the script file right to a Git repository. So did a webinar on that not too long ago that you can find on links to erstudio.com or our YouTube portal. But that's an interesting addition that customers are really asking for. The idea here is that I can create a JSON file or instance, and then the JSON is right there available for us. So our next step here would be is I have the JSON done. I would go ahead and in my repository, I'd go ahead and check this diagram in. Obviously, we didn't do that in the beginning on this particular model because I already have one in my repository that is this. So let's pretend we did check this in with the JSON. Go into Team Server. Let's go back into ER Tools. Let's take a look at this, the data products. We can look at our departments, and we can actually see that the main model here on departments, there's our JSON, just as I showed you. So that's published across. And when we go ahead and sync up with Purview, closing the loop on it, we can come back over in the Purview. We can go to our data products list here, and we can see that this would be the finished one. And we can see that we have not only the data assets here, but we now have a logical model with this employee department, and we could publish that out and even bring the JSON all the way across here, and that's part of the meta model for the interface between Purview and Data or ER Studio. I can view details on that and view details on that, and I can see what that data product is all about right here in Purview. So that is kind of the full journey. Don't forget, when you are in Team Server on any object, let's take a look at that object again. That's our JSON. Don't forget, you can follow objects in Team Server. You can start discussions. So this could be how you collaborate with your business analysts or other folks within the organization on these data products and their needs. Just hit discussions and start a new discussion. Everything is right here in Team Server, in the web portal, to support any of these journeys you might want to take and need to take to fulfill out these any of the requests that you get in from Microsoft Purview, or your really standard work on other models. It's all supported and available for you right there. So let's take a look at where we're at in terms of our journey. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Oops, I guess I have to click that. Sorry, guys. All right. Yeah, so we've done our journey here today, and we view the published data product, and we could bring that right in, and you saw that as I clicked into that logical data model. And so hopefully you've seen today through this webinar that the ER Studio, how ER Studio, if you conceptualize this as Purview being really that the consumption, the data catalog for the consumption layer and what those products are. ER Studio then is that supply side catalog, or how you realize those products. How do you design that data product? Where does that data product really, where does its metadata based upon? Is it part of my warehouse? Is it its own JSON file? Is it going to be its own Kafka stream or an Excel spreadsheet? Any of that stuff that you have to design, that's you do that design work for it in ER Studio, and of course we ship those designs over to Purview as both logical models and link up on the physical assets. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. What we did cover was the recently added features, the additions of ER Studio that we have, the standard, professional, and enterprise. And if what you have seen today is our enterprise edition, that it takes the ER Studio Enterprise Edition to sync up with data governance or data catalog, in this case Purview. So if you find that you are on an edition that isn't the enterprise edition, please contact sales at Idera, or use the QR code that I'm going to show you in a bit, and your sales rep will be happy to have that discussion with you, how you can start the process of moving into the enterprise edition. Talked a lot about the Purview integration and what it means and how it works today, and we even took this data product design journey. So at this point, there's that QR code, and I'm going to check to see real quickly if we have any questions that my esteemed colleagues here haven't answered already.
Hey, Tim. Will it be possible to just quickly show the admin interface from Purview to show
sure.
how we synchronize and push the different models? It is still confused for some person.
Absolutely. So the question is, I've showed you the Purview and all that. How does that Purview interface get set up within ER Studio? So I'm back. I'll go to the home page in teaser. So this should be the landing page in the web portal. If you log in as admin, you'll have this My Settings feature over here, and under My Settings, you'll see I have the Purview option here to do the Purview setup. And as this comes up, you can see on the connection page, you'll put in your connection properties, the client secret, the actual the link to it, the tenant ID, all of that. Also in the property mappings is where you would set up your, I can hear all the hamsters in my PC there, they'll soup it up over here. And then for each of the types of objects, what the property mappings are. We do have some defaults that you can start with, Unity Sensitivity level on PII for the business term level. This highly configurable and customizable, and so you would want to go through all this for your individual site and for its needs. And you go through this down in the logical data models and physical data models is where you do your model selections. So if I go into the options there, let's do model selection option. If I go into the options here, so the idea here is on the left are your ER Studio resident logical models, and over here would be the collection and purview model names that you want to have published over there. The idea is you may have models in the ER Studio Data Dictionary side that you don't want to sync up with the with Purview on the provisioning or supply or demand side, if you will. So an admin would say, yes, I want my corporate conceptual over there. Maybe I do want my HR data products over there. You can see they've all been successfully published a while ago now. And that's the way that works. So an admin would use that setup right here, again, under the admin panel, my settings, and its purview. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes. From the Purview user interface, how can I see my diagrams? What will be the way to see my diagram?
Oh, that's a good question. So the diagrams themselves, let's go back into Purview. So if I look, remember I looked up that data product. You're not going to see the a data model or a JSON or you're not going to see that as you would in ER Studio in Purview. But notice here that we have a nice little link there, so you can go backwards and forwards. So if I'm on this HR data product, employee departments, I want to see what's been actually manifested for that. I can open that up in Team Server, log in, and with any luck, there it comes right to that logical model. I can see the submodels here and view the image. And that's on the logical, and I could do that for the physical as well. So that's how that would work.
Thank you.
One last one here. We got time for a couple if you have a couple, but let's see. Can Purview integrate with other metadata sources to represent data lineage end to end? That's more, I know we can do the data lineage and visual data lineage in ER Studio, but as far as what Purview's ability is on the data lineage side, you'll have to probably ask someone at Microsoft the Purview question. But I could definitely show you in ER Studio that we have the ability to do visual data lineage. In fact, if I go back to ER Tools here and look at my projects, and we have just tons of customers doing this. If I look at maybe my data catalog, maybe for my HR database, you can see a data lineage, a simple one here. We're loading the HR from SQL Server to Snowflake here in a variety of transformations. Remember, all these images you see in the web portal are live images, so I can click into any of these objects and go straight into that object and read all about it. So it is very, very easy to use, nice interface that really kind of structures your entire data dictionary and gives you access to it, from a graphical perspective. Yep, and it sounds like William answered that. He's our macro expert, so yes, you can do that. Oh, is that Anil? Anil's our macro expert as well. All right, so let's see. We got anything left here, guys? I meant the integration with Purview. At the lineage level, it's really the lineage is done as part of. It's really more on the Purview side. We don't ship any of the visual data lineage work that's done through the interface to Purview. So, all right. Any other questions? I'm seeing like everything's about answered here. So going back to our presentation again, do have this QR code. So those of you that want to can go ahead and scan that and see the prize it gets you. And I should have had on this page, if you do have any need to contact, you can always contact your sales rep, sales@idera.com, sales@idera.com. So with that, and I'm going to give you back about 10 minutes of your day. I'd like to thank you all very, very much for attending the webinar here today and bearing with me as I went through that journey. Hopefully it was informative for you. and look forward, we all do, look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.